Yeah. Anyway, now we get to play as the sidekicks. Sort of. But these are the ones that were established in a previous episode that they actually switch off.
But Ariel, everybody is the main character of their own story. There are no sidekicks in life.
Yes, there are. Some people are just random NPCs in other people's stories.
That's really sad.
Haven't you seen that comic where it's somebody who's just working a retail job and they help people check out and they're just like, thanks, have a nice, or, you know, thanks for shopping, have a nice day, and then the person leaves and they stop and they're just like, oh no, I'm an NPC!
Well, in that case, isn't everybody an NPC at some point?
Not rich people.
Not rich people, you're right. You're right, I don't know what I was thinking, never mind.
No, technically, people in positions of power are not necessarily protagonists just because the protagonist still has to have a king or mayor to talk to.
Yeah, you're right. Like, there are numerous games where it's not really about the, like, the president. It's just, the president is usually like a set piece, actually, now that I think about it. Like, take Sonic Adventure 2, the president was just, he was fucking...
You know what we should have? We should have a counter that says X days since a Sonic reference, and now it's
well, Austin hasn't been here! So, you know, I feel like it's more likely that it would come from me. Nevertheless!
I feel like I've even done it sometimes, but yeah, no, we need to start a counter. Maybe it shouldn't even be days, maybe it should be episodes, but days is more like intuitive.
And, you know, we can't do this because we don't necessarily record things in the order that they're going to be uploaded.
Yeah. It'll be an arbitrary number. I'll basically just mention whenever it switches back to 0. Let the people at home figure it out. If anyone really wants to.
But, you know, you should, because, you know, we're the most interesting people on the planet right now. Like,
you wanna know something interesting?
What's that?
So we had our last event of the season last weekend, right? And for people who are not in the Midwest, it was a high of like 22 degrees. It was fucking cold, alright? It was cold. So we were outside, and I had to do a 5-minute count for a ritual. But I was cold. So, you know, they had to defend me so the ritual didn't get interrupted. And I'm sitting there trying to do a 5-minute count, and I start kind of like bobbing, which is sort of like a squat. And then as I start getting to the 3-minute mark, it starts getting really, you know, painful. And then I get to the 5-minute mark, or I'm approaching the 5-minute mark, and I'm like, oh my god! So I accidentally did somewhere less than 300 squats.
Oh, you monster. You absolute heathen. How dare you.
It hurts. I was hurting for most of the week.
Really?
And then somebody else, one of the other staff people was filming the battle, and he's like, you wanna know something? And it's just like, what? He's like, your count was off. And I'm like, what? He's like, when you said you were at 5 minutes, the 6-minute count on the video hit. And I'm like, so not only did I accidentally do 300 squats, I also was counting each second 10% longer than a real second. And accidentally made us do that for an additional minute. Which it was fine, they were kicking everyone's ass. But, yeah, so that's my interesting story, how I accidentally did 300 squats and counted 5 minutes as 6. Or 6 minutes is 5. Whichever.
But okay, well, I guess you all got swole, so that's the only thing that matters.
I mean, it hurt to, like, walk up and down stairs and just move.
But you're swole! So it's fine!
I don't know. It hurts, but it's very funny to be like, yeah, I accidentally did, like, 300 micro squats.
Micro squat?
Because I was, like, half squatting.
You're, like, bobbing up and down?
Because I wasn't going, like, all the way down. Anyway, she just noticed that plate girl isn't answering, and now we're gonna dive into the other plot about how, people who are possessed or doing perfect possession go into the dream world. So now, Ichirin, I believe, is that her name? I don't even know. It's probably the right name. Just perfect possessed Futa in the dream world. Because, why not?
Wait. Okay, whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care.
I'm not gonna lie, the dream world part of the story gets really convoluted.
You don't say. You don't say it gets convoluted. Is that so?
Yeah, because the one thing is that, when you are the slave in perfect possession, your dream self can escape into the real world and just start fucking shit up because apparently your dream self has no filter.
Filter how?
Like, period. They'll be like, fuck you, man, alright? You asked me to do the dishes yesterday, but that was bullshit, so now I'm gonna beat you up.
Well, that was bullshit.
No filter, alright?
Well, I mean, I do hate doing dishes, so I can relate. But still, it might have been a little harsh.
Doremi sweets, more like Doremi sheep. Oh.
Hey!
Look at all those sheep. Speaking of sheep, this is just gonna be a LARP story minute. So we did one. It was supposed to be a quick, easy adventure, right? Lady sheep went missing. So, you know, go find the sheep, bring them back to her. We had some guy with tracking. You know, it'd be great. But one of our NPCs was like, hey, this is gonna be my first time running a mod by myself. Is that fine? And we were like, yeah, sure. Because we were like, yeah, easy. We outnumber her. She's not great in physical combat. It'll be great. Sure, you can run it by yourself. And then it turned into an RP only mod. Because when we went to get the sheep, for some reason, we could understand the sheep. And the sheep was starting a revolution with a bunch of other sheep.
As sheep do.
I actually, while we were standing there watching this, I'm like, what is this animal farm fucking level shit? 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. And, you know, obviously the sheep started taking up that as a chant.
Right.
And, you know, my party people were like, you know what, that's not really helping. So we were trying to figure out what to do with these sheep. And, you know, we didn't want to send them back to the owner because the sheep was like, I hate living with her. She just wants to breed me with the neighbor's sheep, and I don't want that. Okay? And then we brought the owner. Oh, actually, I went to bring the owner over because I'm like, well, maybe this hill has magical properties and she can understand the sheep here. And the sheep's like, no, she can't understand me. So, I went and dragged her, and she still couldn't understand the sheep. So, we didn't question that. We were like, well, wow, it's weird that she can't understand the sheep. Clearly,
Maybe
we are the normal ones.
Yeah.
So, we convinced the sheep to go to my little hideaway in the mountains. Because I'm like, look, I've got some sentient rat people there. You guys will get along great. You guys will be friends. So we convinced them to go, And we're like, we cannot morally put the sheep back to a life of slavery. So, let the sheep go free. And then I get a note from the messenger from the rat people who live in my mountain thing, being like, wow, thank you for sending this flock of sheep. They were delicious.
Oh!
And I was like,
I kind of saw that coming, but still.
That's not what I wanted at all. I wanted them to be friends.
Maybe you should have sent a text message to them first.
I thought the sentient sheep would be friends with the sentient rats.
How big are the rats? How they eat the sheep?
They're rat people.
Oh, they're rat people, right, okay.
And then I went to check on the rat people later, and they offered me a cut of the prime mutton. I was just like, oh, no, I couldn't. That's the one that was talking to us.
I really
so sad.
should.
I was going to make a foster home for sentient animals and everything. But no, the rat kid had to eat the sheep. But I mean, on the bright side, now they think I'm the greatest thing ever because they were starving. But that's not what I wanted to happen.
Who was supposed to be taking care of them?
They just moved to my mountain, because there was a blockade because they were causing this huge plague outbreak in a nearby town. I'm not affected by it though. Because it's basically it's residual chaos radiation that was making people sick. Normal people. But I'm a warlock. So instead of being sick, I just get to do 10 times my normal damage.
Because that's fair.
Right, I throw chaos. They radiate chaos.
I mean, I guess, but still, it doesn't seem right.
Hey, I mean, it seems fair to me.
I mean, yeah, you would say that.
After all the shit I went through, it seems fair to me. God damn.
I mean, what? Did you have to go through a lot to become a warlock or something? Like.
No, but I had to go through a shitload to get... That mountain used to be where my library was. Originally. And then it got burned down. And now I've been trying to rebuild it. And the Ratkin are helping me. Now, you gotta keep in mind that this is coming at the end of, like... It's been 2 years since my library burned down.
Okay.
Things have not been good since then, but we finally stopped the Blight Plague and the Blight Queen. So, things are looking up. Once we figure out this doppelganger situation, we'll be fine.
I mean, is there going to be like a final boss or something in this particular campaign? Or any campaigns in general?
Well, I mean, the Blight Queen was kind of the final boss of the Blight storyline.
Mm-hmm.
As for the doppelgangers, not really sure, because they keep changing.
They keep changing, like, who they're doppelganging, or?
Yes.
Well, are they powerful or anything? Like, what's the deal
They don't really
here?
have their own powers. Okay, so the game was lagging really hard at this point, and I believe I'm gonna have a message that I speeded up, because I end up dying from all the lag, but then when I die, everything works. Anyway, these two, the sidekicks, have just said, like, hey, maybe we're the strongest team. And now their bosses are like, is that so? And they're like, well, it's just like, No, it's totally fine. Totally fine. And they're like, okay, fucking prove it.
So, what happens when you win?
When what?
When this little spat they have going on here.
Right now?
Yeah.
The sidekicks versus their bosses?
Yeah, because they're fighting for their freedom, right?
No, they're just fighting to prove that they should take on the worst, most disastrous duo. Because clearly their teamwork is better than Byakuren's and Miko's, which, you know what, that's probably not wrong, considering it seems like they don't really like each other very much. But, you know. This is sped up a lot, by the way.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I'm liking the music a little bit. Actually. So fast! Ah! Yeah, I got it. Like, why did you speed it up anyway?
I just said.
Oh, because it was lagging. And because
it was lagging insanely.
Right.
Like, this is at 800%.
It's like, I can't really tell here, clearly.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Like, oh, I guess it's not lagging anymore.
See, now you can see the lag a little bit. You see how she was moving just there? That's the speed it was going.
Jesus.
So now I close some other shit, even though they weren't affecting anything before.
Was it your computer? Like, what was the issue?
Now it's not lagging. So I don't know if what I did changed anything, but now it's fine.
Is it really fine?
Yes, you can tell because their sprites aren't lagging.
Right, okay.
So now here's normal speed without lag, which is very similar to 800 speed with lag.
Man, these plates are making me hungry. Did you put food on any of them?
No.
But why?
Because.
But it would make me happy. It would make me so happy.
That's why, Brian.
I can't be happy? No happiness for me?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
You just gotta live with the lot you've drawn in life. So, her hair, Byakuren's hair, kind of, bothers me.
Why?
Because it goes from purple to blonde, but in just this very sudden kind of way.
Sudden kind of way, yep.
Like...
And...
It just bothers me, okay? It just it's like, look at... Well, you can't really look at it. But see? I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of a gradient there, but it doesn't look right.
I mean, like, this is anime. Since when is anything correct?
I mean... Woo!
I mean, wee! Woo! Like, what
see, I distract you from the answer.
I mean, it works, but still...
Okay, I will tell you one. Attack on Titan. Because they were so focused on making the shit realistic, it wasn't enjoyable. And you might say, what's realistic about 50-story fucking monsters running around? The way the people react to seeing the 50-story fucking monsters. Where they're all frozen in fear and shit. That's what's realistic. The way the bodies fling around is realistic. Now, I believe I've already ranted about Attack on Titan, because I'm not fond of it.
Is it just because of that, or...?
It was very... Okay. I gave up on watching it in Season 1 when I got to a recap episode halfway through the season. And I'm like, as if shit wasn't going slow enough.
Oh, is that why? Well, is it one of those things where it's ever gonna get better, or...?
I mean, people really like it. And, like, the animation is fine. But I was getting bothered because it was trying too hard to seem realistic in some things, considering it's about a bunch of people fucking jetpacking around with wires like Spider-Man. And, of course, maybe I haven't done this rant yet. In a real combat situation, your soldiers are trained so that they no longer have the fear response. This did not happen in Attack on Titan.
Right.
Which is why they lose so many fucking people.
I mean... you can only do so much with that, though, I think. Because we are talking about giant fucking giants.
Well, here's my other complaints. One... flying around with cables is not the most effective way to cut something in the back of the neck. Alright? It's just not.
Right.
That's the most anime way to do it, but it's not the most effective.
I mean, I tend to agree with you, yes.
So, there's that. My brother and I were like, why not just make, like, I can't remember what they're actually called, but back in the piratey cannon ship days. Cannon ship. Ships and cannons. They would have those things where it's 2 cannonballs and a chain. Mm-hmm. You could easily do that sharper.
Right.
So that would have more of a cutting effect than a splintering effect.
Right. Like, are they just not susceptible to cannons in any way?
They're not really harmed except by that one spot. Because spoilers.
Except by that one spot, because spoilers. Okay, well, I mean, and it has to be like a plated thing? It can't be like a projectile?
I mean, the show really seems to think it needs to be a bladed thing, but the person basically becomes a projectile at that point. So,
well, yeah, no, you're right.
Anyway, we're not here to rant about Attack on Titan, okay? Not fond of it. When we needed something that darker that was also actually anime, we did Dead Man Wonderland and Danganronpa. Alright?
Right. Okay.
So, tune in next time for us also not focusing on Touhou.